Welcome. This is Solopreneur Success Strategies, and I'm Jane Gardner at jane-gardner.//SSS, and today it's World Domination Wednesday. Yes, it's me again. We're on to our third episode for World Domination Wednesday. So first, I'll introduce myself for those who don't know me. I'm Jane Gardner, and I work with my husband for the last 20 years in our home business engineering company. He's off traveling right now, lucky man, while I'm here working. And we have dogs and cats, and we travel, and I'm an artist. And you'll probably see me doing memes all over the internet. So that's me. And then I should probably tell you what I mean by World Domination Wednesday for those who don't know. I'm using that as the idea that you are going to be creating as a business, you'll be creating your own world of customers who love you and will buy from you again and again. And so we're going to be talking about today, who is your ideal customer? And we'll be looking at research today because we've already had a look at defining what your business is. But these are the basic elements for you and your customer. It is knowing how to define what your customer wants, give your customer what they want, keep those customers, and keep growing your business with more customers, with your other customers referring on more new prospects so that you can grow your business. So your customer is number one priority for you. And as you need to know that they are number one priority, you also have to be able to know, well, who are your customers? So we're going to I'll go over what we did already in terms of who is your customer. So let's have a look at World Domination Wednesday. And if you don't know already, everyone is not your customer, as Seth Godin says. So if everyone is not your customer, well, who are your customers? Well, your customers are all those who want your solution to their problem, or they want your solution to fulfill their desire, depending on your business, of course. And as there's 3.3 billion people online, I'm sure we can find your customers in that international group. So what we first did when we looked at who is your customer, well, we had to look at your business, at your product or service. Exactly, you have to define who does your product or service serve. Basically, that would be who is it defined as, some people call it the niche. Who are the people that are interested in your product or service? If you have a wrinkle cream, I might be interested, but my husband wouldn't. And right now he's supposed to be using his suntan lotion, but I'm sure he's not, and will become home as red as a berry. So he is not the suntan lotion customer, even though I keep telling him to. Anyway, so you have to decide who is your customer, and we'll be looking at it in a minute. But first you have to look at your business and ask yourself, well, who does it serve as far as your customer? Who are you? Whose problems are you solving? Who really wants your product or service? So first we look at the features of your product or service. So for example, we use the example of the wrinkle cream, and I made some imaginary features of the wrinkle cream. Obviously there's one where it keeps wrinkles away. 2, you can have it on once and then apply it during the day and not have to apply it again. And it's a monthly subscription. So what is the benefit of that feature? So for example, it keeps wrinkles away. Well, of course, it's a benefit to those who want to keep their wrinkles away. And the monthly subscription would be very beneficial for someone who's very busy in their life and can't be shopping for wrinkle cream all the time. And of course, applying it once a day is the same thing. They're very busy and they can't apply it all the time during the day in order for it to work. So who really wants that benefit as a solution to their problem? Well, we just sort of casually decided that busy professional women who need to keep a good corporate appearance, who are, well, sorry, there is the myth, but it is true that when wrinkles start to show, they start thinking about putting you down the corporate ladder. Anyway, I got a good imagination. And also for the 24-hour, I thought that they would, as they're busy professionals, they don't have time for shopping. They would appreciate the monthly subscription, and they would appreciate having to apply it once during the day. So we sort of defined a customer, imaginary customer, just thinking about your product or service for your business. But of course, that's not the only thing you need to do for your research. So let's have a look at some of the other things. So of course, you need to research. Once you figure out in the first step your product or service, what are the features of it, what are the benefits of it, and who maybe does it serve, then we do some research and find out who does really want it and where they are. So we look at the demographics, we look at the psychographics. I've added the geographics, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and media, and also the purchasing behavior, and have a research on finding out what the purchasing behavior is of the possible demographic that you have for your customer. So let's go into that a little bit closer. So for example, the demographics is the hard data, which would include the age of the person, the age range, usually not just one age, the location. So that would be a more general location, whether they live in the suburbs or the town, not a specific location. The gender, are they male or female, or are they both? The income, what kind of income level do they need in order to purchase your product or service? And we want to look at the education of the potential customers and see what their might be the education level for them. And then some people forget to look at the geographics. So that would include what country are they from. We'll go into this in a minute, why geographics might be important. The country, the area of the country that they're in, the city or the town, or even sometimes it can be a section of a town. So it's kind of important also to look at the geographics of the people that you're looking into. For example, if they live in Atlanta, they would have certainly more demand for a wrinkle cream than someone in Alaska. That's not really true, of course, because everybody wrinkles, but let's just say it is. And then also, when we want to look at the southern states would be a place that could use a suntan lotion or the wrinkle cream to keep the wrinkles away. Certainly California has a certain lifestyle where they appreciate being able to keep the wrinkles away, and they're willing to pay lots of money for that. All you have to do is look at Rodeo Drive or Hollywood. But also, well, there you go. I've called up Hollywood as an area or town, actually, within Los Angeles. You can imagine the challenges of being, well, a star, but anyway, I'm not going to. Anyway, it's a very specific community, and you could certainly narrow it down to certain cities versus being out in the country, etc. And we'll go into the places where you can find out this information, but let's just go on and talk about the psychographics. Now, the psychographics is the subjective data about what they think and feel. So what does your customer feel? So that can include their personality, their attitude, their values, and their hobbies. Now let's look into that a little bit closer and talk about it. So there's 10 components of psychographics. You look at the interests of your prospects to help you create the right marketing message. Because, of course, in the end, even all this data is just so that you can create your message in order to attract them to you. You want to look at their opinions and what their audience opinions are, and how they spread their opinions. Are they vocal about their opinions? You want to look at their beliefs. What do they believe about success, money, happiness, and other elements of life? Because that will also determine whether they would be interested in buying your product or service, depending what it is. You look at their values. So your audience values are their preference concerning appropriate courses of actions or outcomes when they are obviously buying, since we're talking about buying, and it would be whether or not they'd be willing to buy a wrinkle cream in order to have the outcome. Does that balance or tip the balance, whichever, in order to buy a very expensive wrinkle cream? And what are the goals of the audience? What do they want to achieve? For example, are they a bargain hunter looking for the best price, or are they oriented towards brand recognition? And well, we can all discuss that ad infinitum, as I like to say, but we will do that another time. And we want to look at their attitudes. Is it a positive or negative evaluation of people, events, activities, or ideas? Are they a pessimist or an optimist? How will you change your marketing message in terms of attracting them to your product or service? What is their purchasing motive? For example, are they motivated by fear of loss or by pride and prestige? Do they want to save money, or do they want to avoid pain, or do they want to feel comforted, or do they want to feel connected to others? These are all things that you can evaluate as you go along doing your research. And their personal characteristics. It's difficult to measure personality, but it can play a role in creating your customer's psychographic profile. So what are the activities that your prospect likes to do? What are their hobbies? What are their traveling habits, working habits, and so on? So, for example, if they're always hanging out on Facebook and talking about the newest quote, then you certainly know a little bit about them by being on Facebook too and finding out what are they interested in. For example, I enjoy sewing, and I, of course, enjoy art. So you will find me hanging out with other artists and sewers. And also you can add the social class. So where does your customer or prospect fall on the socioeconomic scale? Are they a professional or a manual worker? Is their income such that they have a certain lifestyle? That kind of thing. So these are all components that you can put into your ideal customer profile. And then how you do, of course, how you find some of this research, but also this is also the research. So first off, you can go to media like magazines and TV and movie and websites and social media, and you can find out how they interact with the media and where and what time. As well, you can also find out what they're reading, what they enjoy, what they want to read. But at the same time, in the next show, we will be talking about media as a place for researching who your customer profile are, because it's a very good place to go to find who is your customer for your product or service. But for this question, it's one of the things you look at is where are they in terms of what are they reading and what are they watching and what websites do they hang out on. And then the last thing is you look at their purchasing behavior. How do they make purchasing decisions? So what do they buy? When do they buy? What is their strategy when they're buying? Are they trying to find the best price, or are they buying for luxury? And what are they looking for? Are they looking for something that will solve a problem that is to make it easier, quicker, cheaper to do something? And this product or service will help them do it? Or is it a product or service that will help them in their business, etc.? So you look at their purchasing behavior as well, and we'll go next week and have a look at a few places where you can find out about your ideal customer for your purchasing your product. So I guess I should go back to that slide and just do a sum up. So let me just go back there. So when you're doing your research for your ideal customer, of course, first you decide what does your features and benefits of your product or service, what does it do for a potential prospect or customer, and why would they want to buy it? And then you go out and you research, knowing why someone might buy your product, etc. You go and look for the demographics, the geographics, the psychographics, the media, and the purchasing behavior of the potential customer profile that you want to use to market your messages to. So that's probably what we'll do next week, is we'll go out onto the internet and have a look at a few places. I guess we'll probably have to use a sample one. We could try the wrinkle cream again, a sample customer profile, and put that together and see how that works for wrinkle cream. But I also want to say that I have an offer coming up, Who is Your Ideal Customer? And it's a 4-week course to define your ideal customer. So first off, we look at your business and how does it solve your ideal customer need or problem. And then we look at how to define your ideal customer profile by doing research on the demographics, geographics, psychographics, purchasing behavior, and the media that they might be going to interact with using various research sources. And then we look at your research and how to use it to craft your message to your ideal customer. So this is all for attracting your customer with your message. And then on the 4th week, we use how to use the tracking tools to measure the success of your messages. And then we sum up and define your ideal customer and the messages for your ideal customer. We do a sum up of all the messages that you might do to your customer and all the detail that you have on your ideal customer. And then we go out and try it and see where they might be. So to have a look at the course offer, go to http://jgtips.com/customer profile, which is customerprofile. That's http://jgtips.com/customer profile. And on my website, I have, let me talk to you. On my website, I have a page where I have the current show for World Domination Wednesday, and I'll have that offer link below that, as well as maybe an opt-in checklist for checking out your ideal customer at http://jgtips.com/customer. Oh, that's all right. This is on WDW, so it's http://jgtips.com/WDW. On there, I have the current show of World Domination Wednesday, and then I have any links, for example, to the offer at customer profile, or I'll have probably an opt-in checklist for you to look at your ideal customer and how to find them. Because in the end, it's all about you and your customer. So it's knowing how to define what your customer wants. So that's what we're doing right now. Give your customer what they want, and then keep those customers and keep growing your business with more customers. Basically, it's not a business without customers. It's an obvious statement, but it's a statement that should be made. So thank you for listening. And next week, we'll be going out onto the internet to look at a few places where you can research your customer. On the second show, I think we had a look briefly at a couple of places, but there's some really good places once you sign up for an advertising account without actually paying for any advertising. You can actually go do a lot of good research on who your customer is and figure out where you can go to find them, and also what they really want, so you can market your message to them. So thank you for listening, and this is Jane Gardner. I'm at jane-gardner.com / actually, I'm not on a backslash. That's my website, jane-gardner.com. Bye.